now talk about how all of these global cues really could impact our own markets as well as the stocks that you should watch for in today's trading session. We have Ekta, Nigel and Surbi all here with us to prep us up for this trading session. Guys, a very good morning to all of you. Ekta, coming to you first, we were going through the global setup, which looks a little bit tough, especially considering what's going on as far as the geopolitical conflict is concerned, as well as, of course, the handover. But take us through what we should track.
Thanks for that. Well, yes, the Sensex and the Nifty closed at 1 month highs. This was after a narrow range trade in yesterday's trading session. FII's net bought around 263 odd crores. DII's net bought around 112.5 crores. This morning, oil prices have spiked up to over 2-week highs, $91 per barrel. This is ahead of the US president visiting Israel today. And separately, we do know about the hospital attack that happened. So there is speculation that it could probably result in the possibility of a wider conflict as well. So that is something that we would probably watch quite closely. US markets muted close. This is they are in focus on account of data and earnings that you just spoke about. So US retail sales were up 0.7%, better than expectations. Earnings from Bank of America, Goldman Sachs overnight. Asia is largely lower at this point in time. So do watch out for the implied open for the gift Nifty as well. Now, in terms of earnings, that's the next big cue that we are tracking. So Bajaj Finance, Tata Elxsi, Syngene, Zenza, all of them will be reacting to numbers. We have a lot of numbers today as well. Bajaj Auto, IndusInd Bank, Wipro, Bandhan Bank, LTI Mindtree, Persistent Systems, Polycab, RPG Life. So a lot of these companies will be reporting numbers today, and that will be the next port of call in terms of a domestic cue for us. The Fed officials will be speaking in the next couple of days, so that will also be a global cue, as well as the president's visit to Israel.
All right, Ekta, thanks a lot for laying out all of those cues for us. Like Ekta was pointing out, a lot of earnings that we are expecting today, but a lot that have already come through and that the street will be reacting to as well. So Surbi is here to fill us in with that list. Surbi, Bajaj Finance, of course, first one there.
Yeah, Bajaj Finance tops my list. You know, the earnings were slightly below the pole, but the net interest margin holds up well. The net interest income was up 30% on a year-on-year basis, and the gross NPA ratio came in at 0.91%. Next is ICICI Pru. Weak set of numbers over there. The value of new business was down 7%, and the value of new business margin, that came in at 28% versus 31% same time last year. LTTS, a good Q2 numbers were in line with estimates, but there was a margin beat. And the company has cut the FY24 guidance. The revenue was up nearly 4% and the margins were constant at 17%. Tata Elxsi, it was a steady quarter. The EBITDA was also steady, came in at 29%. Zenza Tech, the revenues were up 1%. The EBITDA margins came in at 18.6% and the PAT was up 11%. Syngene, the revenue growth momentum was intact at 18% on a year-on-year basis. Margins have improved to 28% versus 26% in the previous quarter, but the company has scaled down the FY24 guidance due to the slowing in the US-based biotech segment. And lastly, Hudco will be on our radar because government is going to sell up to 7% stake via an OFS. The offer price is at 79 rupees per share.
All right, Surbi, thanks a lot for running us through that list of stocks. By the way, also watch out for the crude impact because we've seen quite a rise there. Right now, crude prices are almost at $92 a barrel, so that's also important to track. Nigel joins us now with all of the cues from the futures and options space. Hi, Nigel.
Well, I've been listening into you all, Pavitra, and as you were mentioning, the global cues are in a bit of a tizzy, so that's one point of concern. But our markets have been doing pretty okay. Even in yesterday's trading session, we had some bad news in the final hour of trade, but that got bought into, and the Nifty ended higher. There wasn't any big open interest build up, though the Nifty Bank, there was some kind of short covering that we saw out there. The FI as well, that data perfectly tallies because there was some long addition and there was some covering of shorts. Now the short positioning on the index futures is down to around 71%. Two strikes were very active. The 19,800 put, that was very active in yesterday's trading session. The premium was around 60 rupees. At the start of trade, it was more than 70 rupees. And on the upside, the 19,850 call, that as well was fairly active. Now, keep in mind, the Nifty ended higher, but yet you didn't make any much money on that 19,850 call, telling you that there was writing at those levels. So the resistance level becomes yesterday's high. That's 19,850. On the downside, 19,700 because that's a technical factor and 19,730 because of the options data. But But today is the Nifty Bank expiry, and the Nifty Bank has been moving up, but it's unable to cross that 44,600 odd mark. And yesterday as well, there was a fair bit of writing at around the 44,500 call, and there are a lot of resistance levels being seen in that vicinity of around 44,550 to around 44,650. The recent low will be a support zone. For starters, I think we pull back a little bit, and let's see how we do from there. We're likely to see, I think, a little deeper gash going by this morning's news. So buy on dip, maybe that should continue. The broad range, though, is around 19,700 to 19,850. Back to you.
All right, Nigel, thanks a lot for taking us through all of those cues. With that, it is time for a short break on the show. But like we were mentioning, Bajaj Finance is going to be top of mind because they did report second quarter earnings, which are pretty much in line with estimates. We'll have Abhishek on the other side to really break down the numbers for us.